Basic world building is always something I like to see in an anime, especially a shonen story following a protagonist trying to make a name for himself in the world. And My Hero Academia goes about this in a different fashion from almost all of its contemporaries. The fascinating idea that, holy balls, people have quirks now, so cool, wow, that guy's face is a cactus! That's not necessarily the fantasy aspect of the world that intrigues me, but rather it's the societal aspect of this world and how it evolved, as well as how it keeps evolving, that fascinates me. How did a hero society drastically change the outlook of basic human morality and ethics? To plainly understand that, I divided society into 4 distinct philosophical perspectives, and almost every character falls into one or a mix of these 4, despite there being much variation of individual philosophy within each distinct group. And these groups are fighting for justice for moral reasons, i.e. All Might, Deku, and Medio, where Medio will be getting his own video eventually, so I won't be dwelling on him here. Group 2 would be fighting for justice for immoral reasons, i.e. Endeavour. Group 3 fighting for evil for moral reasons, i.e. Stain, or at least he considers them moral reasons. And group number 4 is fighting for evil for immoral reasons, i.e. the League of Villains. These are the 4 basic philosophical archetypes we see in the series, and I figured it should be stated that my top 3 characters in all of My Hero Academia are Medio, Endeavour, and Stain, respectively. Endeavour and Stain because they philosophically represent the entire societal narrative backbone of the series, which is my favorite aspect to this great shonen. And Medio is my favorite for spoilery reasons that I will be covering in a future video. And speaking of spoilers, I will not be getting into almost any manga spoilers until extraordinarily late into this analysis. So, if you're anime only, you'll still get the vast majority and integral crux of the video, and I'll just warn you before I actually get into the actual spoilers. If you like this style, philosophical or thematic analysis of anime or Hero Academia in general, feel free to subscribble, but for now, sit back, relax, and watch as I attempt to decode the most kind-hearted daddy in all of anime, and why he's thematically like the most important character in the entire series. Fun fact, you're crazy lucky that he didn't name one of his kids Johnny Todoroki, or I'd be constantly memeing that most annoying meme ever since Uganda Knuckles. No, worse than Uganda Knuckles. So here's where I'm gonna need to draw the line between the thematic narrative of My Hero Academia, i.e. the story of themes discussed in the series, and the superficial narrative, i.e. the straightforward tale we're watching and the characters we're following. This superficial narrative is Deku wanting to become the strongest hero to fight for peace, yada yada yada. If I said basic hero shonen, you'd basically get the entire superficial narrative just from being genre savvy. The thematic narrative, on the other hand, isn't really focusing on any of that, but it's mainly focused on the making of a hero. I'd sooner describe the series in that fashion than even in the underdog shonen fashion. The series starts off with a kid with good morals and bright ideals who wants to become a hero, but at the same time, he has no physical power. In any reasonable turn of events, that would be the end of his journey, and he would never be able to reach the goal he set for himself to obtain. But he still does, and that's because in the thematic narrative of My Hero Academia, the question of the series that it's constantly attempting to answer is not, will this boy accomplish his dreams and become the strongest hero? But it's a far simpler question. What makes a hero? Theme-wise, it's clear to understand that's exactly what Deku's story is supposed to be, despite being born with no power, because power is not the essence of what makes a hero. What makes a hero is the heart and mindset, and that's why All Might chose Deku to inherit One for All, because he had what it takes to be a hero more than any other, except for potentially Medio, but he will get into the video, I don't want to be spoiling. But when Medio is first introduced to us as a third-year UA student, he's already strong enough to single-handedly take down like Shigaraki's whole core League of Villains simultaneously, and he's had it in him to become an up-and-coming #1 hero. So what I'm trying to say is he's clearly no wimp. That being said, the story makes it exceedingly clear that it's not because his quirk is overpowered. In fact, if you look at all of the top overpowered quirk lists on YouTube, Mirio's quirk is not on any of those lists. That being said, it's not the quirk that defines the hero. Superficially, the quirk helps, don't get me wrong, but not only does the thematic narrative reject the notion of birth privilege at every possible turn, i.e. with Deku, Medio, All Might, or even Kirishima, it is alluded to time and time again throughout the series in every major fight. That's exactly the point of contention between Deku and Bakugo. Bakugo was born with a powerful quirk and figured his path to become a hero was already paved before him, but Deku disproved that notion very nicely. His existence alone is an anomaly in Bakugo's mind. It goes against every fiber of his being, because a pure mindset should be irrelevant, but it somehow isn't. And this anomalous, overpowering identity is an ideal Group 1 character. That's what the All Might category is. They're seemingly impossible, and their mindset is seemingly negligible. But it's not. It's the core of the theme of the series. It's the core behind what makes a hero. It's what Night Eye saw in Deku at the end of the overall arc, which, again, I will be covering later because Night Eye's quirk is probably my favorite detail in the entire overhaul arc. I will be making a video on it, but it will be while Season 4 is airing. But until here, everything was an important framework for the rest of the video. You're gonna have to trust me. But speaking of fights, as far as Deku versus Todoroki, in a nutshell, Todoroki resented his half-fire because of rather slight daddy issues. Yes, this is still an analysis of Endeavor. Patience, young Padawan. But the theme in that fight was Deku, rather than fighting for himself to accomplish his dreams of becoming a hero, in that fight itself, he was being a hero. And that's what Deku is supposed to represent. Hero Academia tells this narrative in every major aspect of the series. Being a hero is not a title, it's a state of being. That Todoroki fight puts Deku in Hero Category 1, the All Might classification, rather than Hero Category 2, the Endeavor classification. And he wakes Todoroki up from his mental stupor to look ahead, be himself, and not get caught up in egotistical technicalities. Todoroki was only saved because Deku was in Category 1. Any Category 2 hero in his place would have failed. And with all that in mind, fully attempting to define Group 1, allow me to introduce Endeavor as the face of Group 2, being a hero that saved more individual lives than any other hero in Hero Academia's history, and one of the main characters of MHA's thematic narrative. The best way I can think of describing Endeavor in the early arcs of Hero Academia is as ambition incarnate. He wants to be the #1 hero, so he glances upon what that superficially takes. He'll overwork, he'll wear himself to the bone, saving as many people as he possibly can, and he will only take the most tough, dangerous missions around. If we were being completely honest, we would agree that he doesn't integrally care about the people he's saving or the villains he's putting away. But if we were being completely honest again, okay, internally, he's a bit of a douchebag. But the bottom line is, he's saving tons of people, so really, why should we care if he is a douchebag? Don't get me wrong, though. I'd be the first to admit his ambition was taken way too far, incorporating it even into his personal life, even though no one seems to want to talk about how Mrs. Todoroki consented to get married. Not that, obviously, that's a good excuse for Endeavor to be an abusive parent/spouse, but I'm just saying, Mrs. Todoroki had the foresight of Star-Lord when he decided to punch Thanos in the face. Seriously, 14,605 futures with only one of them a success, and none of them included bitch-slapping the ever-loving schnizzle out of Star-Lord. But I digress. Endeavor's basic character writing is gorgeous in its simplicity, as it's a psychology often shared by people in his allegorical position, and it obviously stems from ego. Endeavor will sacrifice more and more of his humanity and compassion as he gropes towards his ambition. With the more status he amasses, the more status he desires in the insatiable battle for rank that's in the mind of nigh everyone. Except, of course, the Category 1 characters in Hero Academia, and that's kind of the point of the series, as I'm trying to explain. Give me a minute. I don't feel like I need to give real-life examples of what I'm alluding to as far as the toxicity of ambition. Fun fact, fanbase, in the script, it actually has the seductive mistress of ambition, but I'm not that corny, so I went with toxicity. You're welcome. But as I was saying, I don't really need to explain that much about the seductive mistress of ambition, cause y'all already on YouTube, fam! With the more subscribers some YouTubers get, primarily vloggers and larger-than-life personalities, the more they feel like they need to grow and deserve to grow. Their ambition becomes their single focal point until they reach an ultimate low. Whether it's marrying and abusing an ice quirk lady to breed a war machine of a kid, or it's taking selfies with corpses. It's the same enticement of blinding ambition that directly results in terrifying things, and it can twist morality into a full 180, even if the planned outcome seemed like a pretty good idea. Whether it's entertaining millions of fans around the world for money, or stopping countless villains and saving countless lives for fame. If I had to sum up the philosophical outlook the My Hero Academia series is trying to take as far as Endeavor, I would say it's trying to relay an all too simple message that is unfortunately too often cast aside, and it's the following. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Hero Academia is obviously following this philosophy throughout regarding heroes, but it's extremely applicable to everything in life. The way I've been seeing the Hero Society of Hero Academia for the longest time is as a microcosm of our everyday society through the lens of heroes and villains. It's not a coincidence that the characters deformed by their quirks are generally the villain. In the provincial license exam, for example, they had Gang Orca play the role as the villain because, quote, he's the hero that most looks like a villain. It's a statement that hits home because there's a cause and effect here to almost everything. If such a high percentage of deformed people end up as villains, it's obvious obviously a societal problem discriminating against them, which in turn creates these villains. Gang Orca is an exception to the rule when he should be the rule. Hero Academia is an exact mirror to our society through the heroic lens, and that's why in my mind it's a great show. I'm bringing all of this up because there's no other way to fully express why Stain and Endeavor are two of my 3 favorite characters. Whenever this is brought up in a discussion, it's disregarded as edgy normie opinions, but while superficially they kind of are, they're the 2 most integral characters to the thematic narrative of the story, being that most of the characters we're following fall into either group 1 or 4. And the reason why we need both Endeavor and Stain in the story to get the point across of what makes a hero, and it's not what you do, but how you do it, because let's not forget the implications of what you do. In the end of the day, reasonings aside, Endeavor's actions are good and Stain's actions are evil. But where do we evolve from there? There's a throwaway philosophical phrase in the Talmud that goes as follows: Mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. Pardon my Aramaic pronunciation. Which conceptually means doing good deeds, even with lack of virtuous intentions, will evolve, and the deeds themselves will eventually be an influence to improve the intentions for the future. And seemingly vice versa as well. Stain, who did bad deeds with good intentions, caused his fine line between his targets to slowly fade and wobble, until eventually he'd incapacitate a hero like Ingenium, who for all intents and purposes wasn't a hero he initially had a vendetta against, and he didn't even realize the magnitude of disaster his actions would unavoidably cause in the future. Whereas Endeavor, the polar opposite of Stain, who did good deeds with poor intentions, was directly influenced by them, and I will be getting into slight manga spoilers, just warning you, but after the fall of All Might, society was at its lowest in years. And Endeavor, who never felt any responsibility for anything past his own ambitions, finally became aware of how petty his ambitions really were in hindsight. Endeavor saved more lives and defeated more villains than All Might did, true, but All Might was the one keeping society safe, and that became all too apparent to Endeavor the moment All Might, with his final remaining ounces of strength, lifted his left hand to the sky after defeating All for One. That wasn't a gesture stemming from pride, taking credit for his victory, but rather was the opposite. It symbolized who he was really fighting for, and that's what Endeavor's been trying to grasp ever since he became the by default #1 hero. Because raising your hand for the people watching goes against Endeavor's integral philosophy. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And it's realizing this and putting it into action that makes a hero. Life's not a scoreboard or a checklist, and what I'm trying to say isn't novel by any means, but everyone talks about how the basic, dumbed down theme of the story is anyone can become a hero. It feels a little forced though, no? I mean, we're supposed to be learning that lesson from Deku, but at the same time, he didn't personally make something from nothing, like the lesson is trying to convey. All Might donated his powerful ability to the little bastard, and it's not like he can go ahead and do it again as many times as he wants. It's one for all. It's not Hashirama cells here. It can't do everything. It's a terrible example to the lesson that anyone can become a hero. All Might ain't giving me his nose hairs a doom, right? Well, frankly, wrong. I know that's the message it's trying to convey, but for the longest time, it kind of felt forced to me. But that's, of course, only looking at things superficially. One of the themes here is anyone can become a hero, but equally prevalent to that is the lesser-known theme of what makes a hero. And as previously elucidated, hero is not a title, and the intentions behind the actions matter just like the actions themselves do. So fam, if that's what genuinely quantifies becoming a hero in this narrative, well then of course, absolutely anyone can become a hero. You don't even need Hashirama cells to do it. It's not like this statement only applies to select individuals, but every human being, whether inverse or IRL, which is way scarier frankly, can become a hero. Even someone who's committed familial atrocities like Endeavor. So when All Might's vacancy finally began noticeably taking its toll on society, no matter how many villains Endeavor would beat, he swallowed his pride and asked All Might for advice on how to become the symbol of peace himself. Which, of course, All Might didn't answer, infuriating as that was. This guy's the best character in the whole series as far as not giving anyone answers.
Deku, maybe use your feet. No, he must figure it out on his own.
That was the worst All Might impression of all time, but moving on. Deku, Medio, and All Might were 3 candidates fit to receive One for All, the ultimate quirk, and it was required to be transferred to a naturally Category 1 hero, aka a compassionate, empathetic individual. Early Naruto focuses on a theme of finding and living in their individual ninja way. And of course, Shippuden kind of forgets about it. But anyway, I like the idea that everyone's ninja way is different because every person is different. And I'd use this example to accentuate a point as far as the way of a hero in Hero Academia. This way of a hero thing doesn't really exist. And becoming a hero in Hero Aka is a very different and much broader term to the individually focused ninja way of Naruto. And that's because, Well, the writers kind of know what they're talking about. The story of Naruto and his contrast against Sasuke as well as other people in his life is supposed to focus on a more outcast theme. So the ninja way we discuss is entirely individually focused, while in Hero Academia, the anyone can become a hero theme is entirely societally focused as a basic ideal. The idea that it's not what you do, but how you do it is such a broad, sweeping statement. It can literally mean anything for anyone, based on their individual philosophical weaknesses. There are some that don't need this lesson drilled in, though, and there are those rare, open-hearted individuals who'll smile no matter the adversary. And no, not the passive-aggressive, assholey smile I do when faced with adversity just to piss off the adversary. That, ha, you aren't getting to me. And yes, it works surprisingly well. Anywho, enough with the Nux tactics for social encounters for today. Nux, you have social encounters? Walked right into that one. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, the one for all candidates will smile against adversary, not to piss off the enemy, not to boost self-confidence, but they will smile for anyone that may be watching. That's the primary goal of their fights, and whatever may be currently happening, they aren't thinking of the matter at hand, how it affects them or their foe, as much as how it affects everyone. It's the people that may be watching that's always on their mind. So Deku, being a total idiot, attacking Slime Guy in episode 2, he was dumb, but he was selflessly dumb. And Mirio fought 2/3 of his battle against Overhaul to protect Eri without using his quirk, and his smile didn't falter for even a moment because of Eri. Best freaking boy ever. Can't wait for season 4. But in any case, the common denominator between All Might, Deku, and Mirio is that this is their philosophy to their core. Whereas someone like Kirishima, who at this point in the story made his way to Group 1, he only got there due to life-altering experiences. This isn't necessarily to his detriment as a character, he's just not a one-for-all candidate. But this is where I'm going with all this. Kirishima, who isn't a natural, perfect Group 1 hero, who worked to get there, he doesn't have the smile forward philosophical approach to his fights. Without getting into major spoilers, he'll be the most reliable, unbreakable shield society can hope for. He still fits into the umbrella of anyone can become a hero, but in a different way than Deku or All Might. Life and society in general is not a one-size-fits-all, and that's kind of the ninja way theme. Since we're following Deku, a very non-outcast character, as our protagonist, it's not a theme required for the series to stress, but the series does exactly that anyway. Deku's themes are undoubtedly the main focus for My Hero Academia, but in the background, Endeavor's the main support character to this thematic narrative. Endeavor got his wake-up call after All Might lost, but he only became a symbol after pushing past his limits when fighting high-end Nomu. Oh, and to quantify that little victory, All Might barely beat a black Nomu in the USJR. This Nomu was even more powerful than that. Every major fight won in the series is played out in a way that someone can push past their defined limits when fighting for someone else, which is inherent in All Might's smile. Deku versus Muscular, Gentle, or Overhaul, All Might versus USJ Nomu, or All for One, these are all fights that, power scale-wise, Deku and All Might potentially would have lost. Kind of all of them. But that's not all there is to a fight when protecting someone else is involved. And that's what Endeavor learned from fighting high-end Nobu. He was swatted like a bug against All for One, where he didn't even have the conviction to pick himself up again. Against high-end Nomu, though, he was in way worse condition. But nothing was gonna extinguish his flame. And when that fight was all over, Endeavor, the newly born Group 1 hero, raised his right hand in victory to symbolize who he was fighting for. Just like All Might did after fighting All for One. But unlike All Might, he raised his other hand. And he even stated that to be intentional, not to be like an All Might wannabe. And bam, he ain't an All Might wannabe. He posed like All Might for the people watching, but he didn't smile, because he's a different symbol than All Might was. And he symbolized this via raising his other hand. While All Might was a symbol of peace, with broad smile on his face at all times. An ideal one-for-all candidate and a natural Group 1 hero, Endeavor is the symbol of never giving up on your endeavors. A symbol of strength that All Might could have never been. I personally don't relate as much with someone like Deku as much as with someone like Endeavor. Obviously, I hope to never do anything as cruel as Endeavor has, but in the narrative of what makes a hero, Deku's a natural talent, and Endeavor had a long path to reach that point. Now, finally realizing that it's not necessarily just the ends that matter, but also the means, he can finally attempt to reconnect with his broken family. It's the journey everyone takes to reach any proper conclusion, albeit on a very different magnitude. All this is why Endeavor is my second favorite character in Hero Academia. His arc is my favorite arc in the series, and he's low-key kind of who I consider the main character in the back of my mind. Even his name, Endeavor, is foreshadowing to his narrative. All Might is all to the might. Endeavor is the one who will arduously endeavor his hardest to reach his grueling finale. He never once in the entire series stops trying, and he never will. will. The themes of the series are all completely solidified by Endeavor's presence, and I'd love to do a brief summary of what I discussed until here, but I consider this video the only one to my knowledge that covers the entire philosophy and core themes of the series, and it took weeks to write. Fun fact, this video single-handedly caused my uploads to slow over the last 2 weeks. Let this be an answer to all of you who asked why the upload slowed. It's thanks to Endeavor. I hope you enjoyed this video and think it's worth it, but I can't really do a summary because unlike some other beeps on YouTube, this video literally had zero fluff. It's this long, but I've been saying relatively novel things throughout the entire video. Feel free to give it a rewatch whenever down the line if you want a quick summary, because I guarantee it will make more sense the second time than the first, just knowing from personal experiences how many times I had to go over and re-research everything to put this together. And if you have any friends or anyone you know that are big My Hero Academia fans, feel free to share this with them, because I doubt almost anyone actually looked at the series to this level of depth, connecting themes and whatnot. Not that I blame them, I'm just kind of crazy like this, and it's kind of my job. So whammin' and gentle whammin', thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like if you like, subscribble if you want more videos, satire, in-depth, philosophy, anything. Also, speaking of anything, let me know in the comments what you want in the future. Link in the description also to my Twitter. Feel free to follow me there for channel updates, memes, and honestly, I was gonna try to raise the stakes above memes, but what beats memes these days? Dabby on the haters merch, and cause Hashirama sells merch. Links are in the description. Feel free to buy the merch, support the channel. This video took forever to make, so link also to Patreon. Would be pretty dope if, you became a patron and joined the Discord server where we have epic discussions making fun of anime and YouTubers, and we have a great time there. Speaking of my patrons, special thanks to the Swaggoggers, King, Beat My Meat, Sage of Snake, Lazy Ronin, Fernando, Costa, JD Fincher, E-Laser, Sash, Axel, Frisky Dingo, Rari, MDQ,
Praise the Lord, the Girugumeshu.
Zindergarten, Sergeant Malarkey, Miku, and TMFilly, who's editing this video and who is awesome. Say hi, TMFilly. Thank you, by the way. Also, thanks to the Lord Tweeger, Grumpy Welshman, Large Blab, Tyler Schumacher, Necro, Zombie Misha, Carlos Altamirano, Taku, and Gavin Anderson. And huge thanks to the God Usopp Rain, Dark Element Yokai, Maurice Luis Dreyfus, whose name I get wrong in all of my videos, and to everyone who made it this far into the video. Fam, I love y'all. Thanks so much. Be a hero, and even more importantly, remember to stay weird, fam.